From Anshe Sfard Bethel Emeth Congregation, it's time to take 10 minutes for Torah with Rabbi Joel Finkelstein.
Welcome to our discussion of Parshat Terumah, saved by the children. If we look at the Parsha, we see that there's a sanctuary, a tabernacle, Mishkan. In that Mishkan, there are various pieces of furniture which serve as symbols of what the Jewish people are all about. The Torah, that's the ark. Avoda, the worship of God, that's the incense altar. And Gemilas Chasadim, kindness, as exemplified by the shulchan, by the table, which represents kindness, that there's always bread on the table for someone to take it like David had to take the bread from the table. But if we look at the symbol of the ark itself, the Aron HaKodesh, we find there that on top of the ark is an overlay of gold. In that gold box are the cherubs, the kruvim. And they say in the Gemara in Chagiga, Rabbi Abahu says that it's karavya, that it's children. Because in Aramaic, in Babylonia, he says, Korli Anuka Ravya. They call children Ravya, and it's karavya. It's like children. The face of the cherubs are children. There on the holy ark are a bunch of children, two children facing each other, maybe hugging each other. That's what's on the ark. As the Torah Mima points out, when you see children invoke love. And when they would pull back the curtain for the Jews to see the cherubs on the holidays, the people would be moved emotionally by the sight of children. And it would show them how much chiba, how much love God has for them. But there's something else to it as well. And that is that we know from the Garden of Eden that it's the cherubs who lishmor derech etz chaim, the cherubs, these mystical kruvim, they're the ones who guard the Garden of Eden and guard the tree of life. Symbolically, the tree of life is the Torah. It's the cherub, it's the children who guard the tree of Torah. What does that mean? The Tzor HaMor, Rabbi Avraham Sibag, who lived at a period of a low point for the Jewish people, certainly for the Sephardic Jews, who were expelled from Spain, who he personally was expelled from Spain. He personally had to leave Portugal on a boat. The state of Torah in his day was low, but there were great scholars, and he was one of them. He was a scholar of halakha. He wrote a book about all the halakha, but he had to bury it in Portugal. He was a scholar of Tanakh, and he writes in his commentary called the Tzor HaMor. He says, the idea of Torah is for the Jew to live with the Torah at all times. But it can't be done. Not every Jew can always be engaged with Torah, but who can study all the time? That's the children. So only the Tinokot Shel Rabban, the children, they got to go to school every day. They've got to learn that Aleph Bet, they've got to learn the Chumash and the Rashi and the Gemara. That's their job. And therefore, what God is telling us with the cherubs, with the children on top of the ark is, you know who's going to guard the Derech Eitz HaChaim? You know who's going to guard the way of the tree of life? It's the children. The children are on top, and they will guard it. The Tzor HaMor has a beautiful interpretation. He says Tisha B'Er Garim. There's a verse in Mishlei where it says that Tisha B'Er Garim, it stands for the idea that it's the Tinokot Shel Beit Rabban, Tashber, the acrostic for the children who learn in school. And they are Gzerot Ra'ot Mevatlim. They stop the great decree. If there's, God forbid, ever a decree against the children, it's the children. Against the Jewish people, it's the children who defend us against it. Haman knew when he saw Mordechai, and he saw them learning Torah, he knew that he was finished. Imi zera hayudim. If there are children who are Jewish who are learning Torah, there's no hope for the enemies of Israel. They can't destroy us. They could, as they have, destroyed the children, and they'll still survive because the children's inspiration goes beyond any imagination. They're the ones who inspire all of us. The children remind us how fresh the Torah can be. This idea is expressed in a page in this week's Daf Yomi. This past week, the Gemara in Yuma, the Talmud that talks about Yom Kippur, page 87a, there's a story. And it's a story from the book of Daniel. And there it says that he told him that he told the angel to throw the coal, to take a coal and to throw it on the city of Jerusalem. Symbolically, they were going to take a holy coal and destroy Jerusalem. But what happened was, miyad, he said, Vayishlach hakruv yado. One of the cherubs stuck out his hand. And instead of the coal falling directly from this angel, directly on the Jewish people, so to speak, the coal first was deflected. There was sort of like a block in a basketball pass. It was blocked, but the coal made it through and hit the Jewish people. We were destroyed in the first temple destruction. But the cherub stopped that coal. In other words, the Kruvim, the children, have that power to deflect whatever evil decree against the Jewish people. People talk about the demise of the interest in Judaism among many Jews today. You know what's going to save us? Children sticking out their hands to learn more Torah, sticking out their hands and saying, teach me more Torah, give me more identity, give me something I can latch onto. Shouldn't have an empty life of just being a human being on a planet, but I should have roots rooted in my tradition, looking forward into a great future for the Jewish people. There's when the children stick out their hands and ask for Torah, that can prevent the terrible fate, which otherwise a sociologist would tell us is in our future. The Kruvim, what are the Kruvim? Why are the cherubs that which guards the ark? Why is it the children? Because it's the children who ultimately secure our future. And it's the children who have the easiest access to daily study of Torah. We, each one of us, have to try to maintain that youthful complexion. But it's not about skin color or the color of your hair or your beard. We have to maintain that youthfulness, that we should, each one of us, strive to be those cherubs on the ark, to try to stay as close as we can to the Torah. And if we do, hopefully we can bat off all the evil elements that are heading our way. And hopefully that will continue to maintain our strength as a Jewish people, the youthfulness and vitality of the Jewish people. Nar Yisrael. There's an idea that the Jewish people are indeed a nar. We are a youthful people because we continue to have that passion for Torah. As long as a person has a passion for Torah, he too sits on the ark. He too is one of the cherubs. She too. And therefore together, those committed to learning Torah, we too can protect our faith and continue it for many centuries to come. Thank you for joining us here today at the Anshe Sfard Bethel Emeth congregation here in Memphis, Tennessee, to discuss Parshat Terumah. Join us each week for our discussions of the Parsha, various holidays. Thanks to Jason Lefkowitz, our producer. Thank you.
This has been 10 Minutes for Torah with Rabbi Joel Finkelstein. To learn more, visit ASBEE.org.